On Saturday, the Kikuyu Council of Elders endorsed Raila Odinga for the presidency in 2022 during an elaborate event in Bondo. And yesterday on Sunday, Raila Odinga hosted Jimmy Wanjigi in Bondo. Jimmy Wanjigi is not your ordinary Kenyan. Jimmy Wanjigi is one of the business tycoons we have in this country. He's one of the few billionaires we have in Kenya. And during the last general election, Jimmy Wanjigi supported Raila Amolo presidential bid. But after the handshake, Jimmy Wanjigi disappeared. We've never seen Jimmy Wanjigi around Raila Amolo Odinga. So the visit by Jimmy Wanjigi to Bondo is significant politically speaking. And I remember yesterday Kenyans were asking themselves what this bag you are seeing here was meant, whether it was the sword, because during the last election, most NASA supporters believed that Jimmy Wanjigi had that sword. You remember the sword? That Jimmy Wanjigi had the sword. And therefore they were interpreting that that bag probably carried that sword. But that's not the case. The truth of the matter is that Jimmy Wanjigi went to Bondo for a harambee. And this is how they contributed during that harambee. I want you to listen very closely because it's also significant how these guys contributed. Jimmy Wanjigi contributed 2 million Kenyan shillings because there was that ACK church in Bondo where he was invited. He was supposed to have come, but because of the COVID, he's not been able to come, and he came yesterday. And I strongly believe that that visit was meant to achieve certain political objectives, which we are going to look at. So Jimmy Wanjigi contributed 2 million Kenya shillings. Raila Odinga contributed 1.5 million Kenya shillings for that church. President Uhuru Kenyatta sent a donation of 1 million Kenya shillings. The Speaker of the Senate, Ken Lusaka, contributed 800,000 Kenya shillings. It means Ken Lusaka is currently also drifting away from Uko, okay? James Nyoro, the Kiambu governor, contributed 500,000 Kenya shillings. The Taita Taveta governor, Granton Samboja, contributed 500,000 Kenya shillings. Polycarp Igathe, the former Nairobi deputy governor, contributed 300,000 Kenya shillings. I wanted you to listen to those contributions because they are significant. The contribution by President Uhuru Kenyatta, the contribution by James Nyoro, the contribution by Polycarp Igathe, and the contribution by Jimmy Wanjigi. A total of 20.8 million Kenya shillings was contributed during that particular event. But let's end that there. What was the main objective of this meeting, of this visit by Jimmy Wanjigi? Jimmy Wanjigi has been away from Raila Odinga for a long time. We all know that Jimmy Wanjigi played a key role in NASA. And to some extent, he was even arrested, his home raided, and he became a target. Jimmy Wanjigi lost business as a result of his support for Raila Odinga. And when Raila Odinga entered that handshake, Jimmy Wanjigi drifted away. And because he brought David Ndii, because someone was telling me it's Jimmy Wanjigi who brought David Ndii to NASA, David Ndii then found an opportunity because now his godfather, who was Jimmy Wanjigi, was not there. Then he now found a reason to join Team Tanga Tanga. But what was the main objective of that particular visit by Jimmy Wanjigi to Bondo? In my view, I have 4 of them. Number 1, I strongly believe that the visit to Bondo was arranged to remind Team Tanga Tanga, who are currently making noise about police brutality, about their rallies being disrupted, that nothing has really happened to them. Jimmy Wanjigi is a symbol of a man who has suffered at the hands of the police. And during that time, the Tanga Tanga guys were actually clapping. That's how I'm looking at this particular visit. Remember, the police raided the home of Jimmy Wanjigi in 2000 2017 at the peak of the election.
On me. Now, today you chase me all over town to serve me a summons. The other day it's my passport. The time before that, it is something about gun revocation. As I said in my house, this is also becoming comical. Another day it's an obituary. It's a persecution. It's a persecution. And really, I would like to address my old friend, although I don't think we're friends anymore. He was my friend until he burst the door of my house. So I say I want to address my old friend, and you know who I'm talking about. Please, Uhuru Kenyatta, you are not going to become legitimate by persecution of Kenyans. I'm just one case. You will not become legitimate by persecuting me or anybody else. Legitimacy is gotten from the people of Kenya. And please, you cannot force yourself on anybody. You cannot. There's nothing any of us are doing that are outside the law. Nothing. We are exercising our democratic rights as enshrined in the Constitution.
So they are being reminded that. Remember, Jimmy Wanjigi suffered humiliation. A public announcement was placed on a newspaper with his picture in the sections of obituary. All those none in Tangatanga has suffered that kind of humiliation and police embarrassment and harassment. So in my view, these guys are trying to remind Tangatanga that as much as you are making noise about the police, hamujafika huko. And in fact, Jimmy Wanjigi reminded them that wanapiga kelele na it's only tear gas yenye imerushwa. So in my view, it was a reminder to them. And I want you to listen to Maina Commander describing Jimmy Wanjigi sometimes earlier.
I want to give an example of my brother here, Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi and I, we are like blood brothers. And this is the man, Your Excellency, when I was the last person to be charged with the treason in this country under the Kanu regime. And Jimmy here was the man who was coming for me every morning to Embu to bring a porridge and food, because I could not have eaten prison food for fear of being poisoned. And Jimmy was there every day. And Your Excellency, you can remember, at one time I even sent him to you on how you people, I was not afraid of being in his prison anyway. You have been in prison for many years and you are alive. But I was afraid of being killed through the food. And Jimmy, my brother here, was there every day. Jimmy, I'm sorry for what has happened, for this that we have very short memory. That you can forget your brother just because of politics.
Number two, I strongly believe that the visit to Bondo has everything to do with the Nairobi politics. Jimmy Wanjigi is likely to enter into politics in 2022. And I want you to mark this. The name Jimmy Wanjigi will likely be on the ballot, either as a senator or as a governor. But I'm convinced that Jimmy Wanjigi is going to run for the Nairobi gubernatorial race or seat in 2022. And that's why Jimmy Wanjigi was challenging those Kikuyus to join ODM if they are serious. Because already Jimmy Wanjigi has joined ODM. And how is that going to work to his advantage? Let us play a bit of politics. Nairobi is basically going to be about 3 or 4 tribes. We are going to have the Luos, we are going to have the Kikuyus, we are going to have the Luyas, and to some extent, the Kambas. In the last election, Mike Sonko managed to win because of the Kikuyu votes. Without the Kikuyu votes, Mike Sonko would not have won that seat. That's the reality. And because President Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to support him, chances of 50% of Kikuyus not going to support Sonko are also so high. So Sonko is technically out of the race. In 2013, it was Evans Kidero. Evans Kidero was supported by lawyers and by Kambas because he had Mweke as the running mate. What about 2022? And how is this working to the advantage of Jimmy Wanjigi? In 2022, ODM party already, one man has declared his interest. Tim Wanyonyi, the Westlands Member of Parliament, is going to contest for that seat. Now with Jimmy Wanjigi, no any other person has declared. In fact, there is Aladwa has also declared, by the way. But I don't think Aladwa is serious. So I want to focus more on those two guys. What about the Jubilee side? Who are they going to front? Maybe Dennis Waweru. Or maybe Polycarp Igathe. So it means if Jubilee of Uhuru Kenyatta is going to remain intact and they sponsor candidate, then Jimmy Wanjigi will be the ODM candidate. If Jimmy Wanjigi becomes the ODM candidate, of course, Sakaja has also declared, if Jimmy Wanjigi becomes the ODM candidate, chances are that ODM supporters are likely to vote for him. Because the other thing you have to give to Jimmy Wanjigi, he was a darling of ODM supporters during the last election, especially after he was arrested, he was embarrassed and harassed by the police. So the Kikuyu factor is going to work in his favor this way. Assuming he's going to get the backing of ODM party, and in Nairobi, historically, ODM vote as a block, the lawyers and the laws. They vote as a block and the kisses. Those three voting blocks. So Jimmy Wanjigi will only need a small percentage of Kikuyus. And because we all know that Kikuyus also understand power, that's one thing you can't take away from them. They'll see the potential of Jimmy Wanjigi getting the seat. So some of them will support him. So that's number one, the Kikuyu factor. Number two is the elite. Jimmy Wanjigi is one of the elites. They fronted Polycarp Igathe as the deputy governor for Nairobi. Polycarp Igathe was kicked out by Governor Sonko, or he resigned. So this time around, I don't think these guys will look further. They'll just look amongst themselves, and Jimmy Wanjigi fits that bill. So those three factors, the ODM factor, the Kikuyu factor, and the elite factor, is going to work in his favor. And that's why I was looking at the way Jimmy Wanjigi was introduced and the way he was speaking. He was speaking like a politician. He was being introduced to the Luo as a potential candidate in Nairobi. Listening to Jimmy Wanjigi, body language.
President, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Ida, First Lady of the People's Republic, Bishop Kodia, Canon Kenyan, and all the clergy who have invited me here. Waheshimiwa, anaona ni wengi sana hapa, maseneta, viongozi wengine, MPs. Amosu huu. Waganda lu. Uganda lu. Mungu asifiwe. Mungu asifiwe. Leo tumekuja harambee, lakini tumesema ni lazima tuzungumze kidogo hapa. The history of this nation has a foundation, and that foundation is why we are here today. There is a reason why he is Ziwa Victoria, ambao the proud people of the Luo come from. And the mountain have been central to the foundation of this nation. And I will talk today because saa ingine labda hamujajulishwa mambo ya Mount Kenya vizuri. Mzungu ubeberu ni mtu ambao alikuja na maneno mingi ya kugawanya nchi. Sijui kama mnajua that in 1915 there is a law that was passed by the British. And this was...
Number 3, I think the presence of Jimmy Wanjigi in Bondo can also be interpreted to mean the presence of the Kikuyu elites in Bondo. There were the elders who were accompanied by youthful leaders like Zach Kinuthia. A few women were there. And then Jana was the day for the business tycoon. And Jimmy Wanjigi was their face. And that's why that bag was being displayed to you guys, so that you can know that these guys are going to put their money on this man, Raila Amolo Odinga. And lastly, I think Jimmy Wanjigi was also announcing to the country that is back to Raila Amolo Odinga's fault. Remember, in between 2013, he fell out with Uhuru Kenyatta. Jimmy Wanjigi believes strongly that Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto actually owe him, because their agreement was signed and witnessed right in his home. Then these guys ended up beating him, raiding the home, breaking into the same home. So he fell out with them. But Jimmy Wanjigi is now telling these guys that, okay, we fell out, but I'm with Raila Odinga. He greeted you, he had a handshake with you, but after that, I drifted, but now I'm back into the fold. I want to expect Jimmy Wanjigi to start doing serious business with government ahead of 2020 business. I mean, ahead of 2020 general election. I expect to see Jimmy Wanjigi coming out openly and strongly to start participating in the Building Bridges Initiative campaigns. I don't know what you think, but those are my interpretation for that particular meeting. Let me know your thoughts on that matter. Bye-bye.